Come on.
There was a game as well today. The final away game of a sorry season ended in defeat, 3-1 the final score. I mean, you guys were all there today. Steve, you made the trip. What were your thoughts today?
Rubbish lineup and first half performance largely to match. I think we had a 2 or 3 minute spell fairly early on where basically both sides missed, just traded in missing sitters. Where we won the ball quite high up the pitch, and Walcott feeds Alcaraz, who basically just gets his feet in a tango and shanks one wide. When he's been in that position quite a lot actually since he joined, and more often than not, it's ended up in the bottom corner. So yeah, that was frustrating. But other than that, I mean, Brighton gave us an absolute lesson in that first half, an absolute schooling, and we were very fortunate to only be 2 down. And it was just garbage. There was no energy to it, which I think we probably expected when we saw the lineup. I mean, to be honest, that was one of Elyounoussi's better performances this season, I thought, which is potentially quite a low bar, but no, I mean he was okay, I thought. Aribo was, I mean, you might as well have stuck a training cone out there. I mean, the thing that kind of summed everything up for me in that game was when we won the ball high up and we sort of launched a counter attack. The ball goes to Joe Aribo, and 2 passes later, the ball is back with Alex McCarthy. It's like, how the hell have we just done that? Okay, fine. If we're playing the game out at 2-0 up, you're wasting time and not concerned about going forward too much. But we were 1-0 down at the time, maybe even 2-0. I can't quite remember when it was, but that was just extraordinary, extraordinary moment. And yeah, as I say, just something that kind of summed everything up, along with the inflatable turd that was in the away end.
Was that you?
It was not. No. I took the photo that's doing the rounds, but no, I'm absolving myself of any responsibility for that.
I did share the photo. It made me laugh. Glenn, that's the 4th away game in a row we've conceded 3 goals. We're not really learning much about the team, are we? These last 2 games.
It's all about consistency. Yeah, it was. I mean, I was there with Steve. It was awful. We played well for about 15 minutes in the second half when we genuinely got on the front foot, that phrase that Ruben Sellers totally misuses, and we actually got forward, and Brighton suddenly looked rattled.
It was odd. I do wonder whether we just lulled them into a false sense of security, that they genuinely just thought, well, these lads aren't bothering, so we can just stroll our way through it. And all of a sudden, we just decided, oh yeah, we fancy running around a little bit here.
Yeah. So we scored the goal from the set piece, which was decent, and then we scored the second goal, and I've watched it since, and level has been written out of the offside law now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that I can't be bothered with dealing with the millimeters, and I know people are going to argue, yes, it's a black and white, it's a yes or no, but that's absurd. That should be a goal. And it reminded me back when, do you remember the game we lost 9-0 against Man United when Che Adams had one disallowed for absolutely nothing, and they showed they couldn't put a picture on the screen that showed it was offside, or and then we had the Danny Ings one against Villa with his armpit hair got given offside. I mean, and those 2 goals were 2.5 years ago, I think, and here we are today. I mean, the reason we've not been moaning much about VAR this season as Saints fans is because we ain't been doing any attacking. So
yeah, plenty of other podcasts and other fan groups have been doing that on our behalf, I'm sure.
But I mean, when that goal got disallowed, it wasn't surprising, because it's just the way this season has gone, isn't it? But it just that seemed to deflate us a little bit. And then Paul Tierney, who's a shocking referee, he then pulled, I think the ball was at someone's feet, roughly on the penalty spot, and he pulled it back for a foul, sort of 15 yards back against one of our players, gave us a free kick miles out. And it's just those sort of things just seem to deflate the team, and then suddenly we went back to being passive again, and Brighton scored the 3rd goal thanks to a wonderful bit of closing down by Aribo and a another quality bit of goalkeeping by McCarthy. So, who did, in fact, keep the score down a little bit after that. He made a couple of decent saves, to be fair to him. But it was just another sort of nothing. You can't play well for 15 minutes. But it's interesting that, the 15 minutes where we played well was where we genuinely got the ball down and tried to play with a little bit of pace. And when we do that, we don't look that bad, but we only seem to do it for 15 minutes, and the rest of the time we're worrying about rest defense, and
Your play stoppers.
Your play stoppers, and it was just dreadful. But it was exactly as you kind of expected it to be, and I think at the final whistle, everyone went, "Oh well, same again."
Yeah. I think you summed it up, Jacob. It was kind of a limbo game, isn't it? It was always going to be a bit strange because the manager knows he's going. Some of the players know that they're off. There's no motivation really for any of them.
No, that's why I was just so glad that there were some youngsters in Tina Livramento there, because I thought, oh my God, this could be a little bit boring, because I would just see Lewis Dunk keeping the ball for about 60 minutes, waiting for someone to come and press him, and then they'll rip through him, and Brighton will score, and then they'll probably just keep the ball, and Slams would just be quite passive. And fortunately, I had the best seat in the house, so I could just see Camidor and Don Bala and Livramento all come on, and I thought, Livramento was the one I was really looking forward to seeing, and I thought he looked really good, to be honest with you. He came, his first action, he came in, snapped in Matoma, won a free kick. That shows, obviously, the mental scars are not there. And then even when he was under pressure, when Jan Benrick would just give him the ball when three players were around him, he'd still work a way out of it. And I think, considering the last 20 minutes was pretty passive, to be honest with you. They're just going through the motions, looking up. And I think when the fourth official added 7 minutes of added time, I think they thought, oh my bloody hell, just get on with it. But yeah, Livramento I thought was quite good. Camidor had some nice touches. Don Bala tried to run in behind a few times, and that made me laugh, because I'm thinking, you're not getting in the red zone. You're not the number 10 that you're supposed to be. But I quite like that as well. It's quite refreshing. So at least there's a few glimmers of hope for next season, because I think if Camidor and Don Bala didn't play today or aren't in the squad next week, then they could be off because they won't sign a new contract. So I think that this will hopefully be the start of a more productive look into the future.
Were you surprised they didn't start, Glenn? I mean, I don't want to spend another 5 minutes going on about Elianusi and Walcott, but Adam Armstrong said this week that he was happy to stick around next season and gets dropped from the squad. I honestly, I don't want to spend 5 minutes talking about awful starting 11s, because I feel like we've done that for the last 3 or 4 or 5 months. But is it a bit weird that they didn't come in a bit earlier, because he was making the noises about it during the week?
No, I don't think so. And I said a couple of weeks ago, it's a massive jump up from what is basically age group football in the B team up to playing a professional game. I mean, you saw there was one bit where Don Ballard ran into Lewis Dunk, and it was like swatting a fly. It is so different. And Cammy Doyle, I don't know sort of how tall he is and stuff, but he looked kind of small and slight out on the pitch. It is a big step up. I think they could have given him a bit longer, especially Doyle. I think Ballard got about 25 minutes, did he? Right. Doyle got about 10 at the end. They could have given him a little bit longer, I think. Especially, bearing in mind our forwards are not all that, are they? So you wouldn't exactly be missing much. But I'm not surprised they didn't start. But I would have liked to have seen them come on a little bit earlier. But again, the mind-blowing substitution was the mind-blowing selection was Joe Aribo coming in from absolutely nowhere and being Joe Aribo. No one should be surprised.
He's the reason why he played was because he's been good in training as well.
Oh, excellent.
I thought I'd tell you that.
Thanks. Cheers, mate.
Honestly, Russell Martin just needs to listen back to a few of these podcasts and write down some of the phrases not to mention in interviews, and the triggers that are going to set everybody off. Steve, I just want to talk about Livramento, because I know they made a big deal about him being back after 13 months, and I know you were a little bit skeptical perhaps about the reasons behind that, and maybe it was a bit too soon.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought, given that the kid's been out for the best part of 18 months, has had 3 different operations now, I think.
Yeah.
And has tried to come back, played that 45 minutes for the B team, about a month or so ago now. That feels like a lifetime ago. And then the talk was that, right, okay, he was feeling some discomfort in the days afterwards. So therefore, right, season over, just draw a line under it, and we'll get you ready to be sort of raring to go in July. So to me, it kind of felt like it was a bit of a sort of good PR sort of push to say, look, this kid that we've all pinned our hopes on is fit and available again, and we'll give him some game time, which I just naturally felt was just a bit of a risk. Because what are you doing in that situation? You're either demonstrating to potential suitors that, oh, look, he's fit. They've given him minutes in the Premier League game, so he must be fine. Or you're basically setting him up to get injured again when he's not played a competitive game against adults. There's been nothing really that's been said as to why 3 weeks ago his season was over and they weren't looking to push him through anything, and now all of a sudden it's he's gonna be on the bench at Brighton and he'll probably play. That felt. I mean, he played well, as Glenn said. He did look. Certainly when he was on the ball, he did look as if he'd never really been away, which is obviously very promising. But I don't know. It just feels to me that we owe the kid a duty of care, and the same applies to all the players. When they've been through what Tino's been through, there is a duty of care to that player to not rush them back for the sake of a PR win. And I just thought that was a little bit irresponsible.
I suppose there were no pictures of them training this week that they could share on social media without a backlash. So maybe they were looking for a different story. And the fact that he got that injury at Brighton, it makes it all nice and joined up, and it ticks all the boxes maybe. So it would just serve ourselves right, wouldn't it, if he's the first one out the door? We'll see.